Top 10, I got a top 10. Got my motivation high for my top 10. Gotta learn from the wise women and men. All my life, like na 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 na. For my top 10, top 10, na 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 na. This one's for my top 10.
Need motivation?
Watch a top 10 with Believe Nation.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and this channel was created to help you overcome the #1 challenge that is holding you back, a lack of belief in yourself. You watch these videos because you know there's something greater inside you as well. You've got Michael Jordan level talent at something. So get ready to find good mentors, find your purpose, and get good habits with Terry Crews and my take on his top 10 rules of success, volume 4, to give you the belief that you need. Okay, let's kick it off with rule number 1, remove temptation.
Remove temptation. You must remove temptations if you are going to have self-discipline. I'm trying to say, if you are trying to lose weight, if you are trying to get better, if you are trying to do things in a good way, you have to remove the temptations. Me, I had a problem with pornography years ago. And now it's one of those things that I had to eliminate temptations. I had to eliminate things that I felt would trigger me and get me back going on the wrong path. And it's really subtle. One of the things is by examining the way you think and how you act in a given situation. I find that there were times like Friday night is when I felt like that was the time to view pornography. You know why? Because I remember everyone going out on Friday and it feeling real sexy and feeling like woo and women and this and dancing and partying and all that. And then I would do it. I'd say, no, I'm not gonna do that. I'm a good boy, but I'm gonna stay home and I'm gonna watch porn, which was a horrible habit. So Friday night, I know when those feelings are coming and when I get sensitive and I feel like, this might be the time to click on something, you know what I mean? And I know it and I head it off at the path. You just make sure that you know where you are and you avoid those temptations. The same thing with eating. If you know you have a problem with donuts, do not go to the donuts shop to get your coffee. You know what I mean? Go to a place that doesn't have donuts or something that you know is your vice, that you know you shouldn't do.
Rule number 2, find mentors.
6th Day was your first film audition,
That's
and
it.
you booked that?
First, because what they were looking for, a tough guy.
Yeah.
They were looking for a tough guy, and I was coming off Battle Dome. I had the reputation, but the thing is, it was cool too because it was Sony. So, it was kind of in the Sony family, and they were like, hey, this guy over here, he's real tough. And so I went in, and the lady was like, the casting agent was like, yeah, you're pretty good. I was like, okay, probably hitting on me. I don't know what's going on. But I'm thinking, I never did a movie before. I never had done a movie. And I was like, well, if I get this, that would be great. And they literally told me, Terry, you got the movie. And I'm going, okay, wow. And I went home, I said, Arnold's gonna kill me. Because I'm thinking, I get 2 days on a movie, he's probably gonna shoot me, and I'll be a dead body, and it'll be great. I'm thinking, it's a little bitty role, it's not a big deal. First of all, it was a main role.
Yeah.
I had no idea. You gotta understand, I had no idea how this whole thing went. So I was Taft-Hartley'd into SAG. Okay, because the show that we were doing was after at the time, and they were all split. There was no SAG after, it was just 2 different things. And so I was like, oh my God, I flew up to Vancouver, they're like, dude, you're gonna be here for like 4 months. And I was like, what? Like, I'm in all these scenes, and I remember, because they didn't show us the script, it was just little bitty parts, and I was like, oh my God, I'm in all this movie. And then I got scared, because I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, I don't know what I'm doing. And what was funny is that they were like, okay, Terry, we're not gonna use you for 2 weeks. So you can go back home to LA. And I was like, no, I'm not gonna go home. I'm good. I stay here, I'll stay here. Because I was so used to getting cut in the NFL that I felt like, oh no, they're gonna replace me.
Yeah.
And so you're talking about just panicky. I didn't know what to do. I was like, oh man, no, I'll stay. And I remember sitting in my room for 2 weeks straight, just literally waiting for them to call me when I could have went home the whole time. Now they're like, you got a half a day. I'm like, I'm at home, I'm on a plane, you know, I'm back with the kids. But that, back in the day, I didn't know. And one of the best people of all time, I mean, to this day, Michael Rooker was on the movie.
Yeah.
And Michael taught me how to do everything.
Like hit a mark?
He was just like, Terry, when I move in here, he said, Terry, when I go to this plant, I need you to just come and take my place right there. I'll guide you through this thing, man. It's gonna be good. And I'm telling you that, I mean, to this day, Mike is probably one of the most special people in my whole life.
Yeah.
Because every time I see him, he's just, I'm so proud of you, man. And I'm just like, dude, you gave me all the tools. He gave me all the keys. He said, Terry, you got an itch? If you have an itch, scratch it in the middle of the scene. He said, you gotta live it. Just go ahead and do it. Because I would be like, don't. I'm scratching, oh my God, I got my nose. And he was like, Terry, you're in the middle of the scene. Wait, look. And he was just showing me.
This is like your acting class. You hadn't really studied, had you?
No, I hadn't done anything.
Yeah.
I hadn't done anything. But my thing was, I was open because I needed this to work.
Rule number 3, find your purpose.
Once you know your purpose, your direction is clear. There will be no confusion. It's wild, but there were times in my life I didn't know where I wanted to go. I didn't know what I wanted to do. But you know why? Because I didn't know my purpose. I had no idea what I was supposed to do. I remember retiring from the NFL, and I was like, I'm too good to go out there and get any job. But my purpose was to take care of my family. But I was sitting up on the couch, you know what? It's all gonna be good. It's not a problem. I'm telling you, it's shameful. It was shameful. And I remember us running out of money, and I have to dig in the couches and try to find money for milk for my kids. And I was missing my purpose. I was in confusion. And one day my wife came to me, she said, honey, you need a job. I'm like, you know what? I can't just go out there and do any job. I was in the NFL, you know that. And she said, well, you know what? I don't care that you're in the NFL. We need some milk, we need to eat, we need gas. What are you gonna do? And my first job, I remember I was humbled so low. My first job in LA, I went to a place called Labor Ready. And I showed up at 5 in the morning, and there were ex-cons, there were drug addicts, there were all kind of people there, and they would give you a job for the day for 8 hours. And I remember making $8 an hour for 8 hours, and they would send me all over. They would say, you got a car? I was like, yeah, I got one. Well, you're gonna go over here and you're gonna work in this factory. And I remember grabbing that broom, picking it up, and I started sweeping. And I remember feeling lower than low. I was like, man, and again, here comes the pity party. I was in the NFL. I knew I was running around with big stars. I was doing it, making money, doing all this stuff. And here I am sweeping the floor. And it was horrible, and I felt miserable. But then all of a sudden, something happened. As I was sweeping, I started to realize that I was doing something about my situation. That instead of sitting around talking about it, instead of sitting around, wondering where my opportunity was coming from, I was proactive. And let me tell you something, I was fulfilling my purpose. I got the money for my family. And I realized that I am not going to just sit ever again. And that was the turning point in my life in a major, major way. Once I found out what my purpose was, you'll do anything in your purpose, and you'll still stay there, and you'll be 100% on the right path.
Rule number 4, get good habits.
I love to work out. But some people get out of shape, and they feel bad. And they say, man, it works like shame. It's the same thing. So you feel like, man, I can't, I'm overweight, I feel bad. What happens is those cycles just keep going. You feel bad. So what happens so you feel better? You eat again. Yep. And then you feel bad in the gym because people are looking at you and you go, I don't look good in my pants. And I'm just, and you look in the mirror and you go, man, this fat is still here. And the whole thing, and fitness is way over there. It's somewhere I gotta go, and it's across the country, and it's so long. Why I give up? You know what? I'm gonna just sit down here, eat another donut. And let me tell you, that's real. But fitness is in you. It's in you the whole time. That fit body is there. And you think it's way over there. And that's the lie. So the lie is, another guy comes in the gym, he walks in like, hey man, you can't lift that. And he walks by and you feel shame again. But you don't let nobody do that to you. I'm here to tell you. In fitness, it's one thing that you say, you know what? I am fit. Even if you don't see it, I am fit. And you know what fit people do? Fit people go to the gym. Fit people don't eat donuts. Fit people eat protein. And let me tell you something.
We had free donuts today.
No. Now, I wanted to bring that up. I wanted to bring that up too. I wanted to bring that up, which is awesome. I have my cheat days. I love donuts. But I'm here to tell you this, that you don't become what you want. You become where your habits take you.
That's good.
Now, you have a donut, you ain't gonna get fat. But you have 100 donuts. Over a course of years, you will end up fat. And you'll say, how did I get fat? Listen, it's people who want money. People say, I want money, I'm gonna go get my money. But your habits don't give you any money.
Also, if you want to have more confidence, check out my 254 series. They're free. The links to join are in the description below.
You gotta get rid of those haters in your mind.
Right.
Whatever you're thinking about it, you will not get it until you take action.
Rule number 5, give it a shot.
My first job in LA was sweeping floors. I mean, we went broke after the NFL. I was a journeyman, the whole thing. And what the thing is, when I left football, I was like, Hollywood, they waiting for me. Every athlete thinks that a Hollywood career is just it's waiting, but you never ever notice that no one who's ever went before you ever made it. It's like every year, every NFL athlete, NBA athlete thinks it's ready, but you notice that there's nobody else in front of you that's doing it. So I got a chance to, I literally was sweeping floors because I ran out of money. And then I got an upgrade by doing security on motion pictures and movies. The first movie I ever did security for was Man on the Moon with Jim Carrey and Milos Forman. We talked a little bit about that. And I remember I was like, oh, this is a movie set. And it was right down the street on Wilshire at the Ambassador Hotel, the old Ambassador. They raised it now, but that was back where they had the Academy Awards. And I knew all the history. I was like, I'm a fan, but I'm like, I'm working in the business. This is Hollywood. That's Jim Carrey. But he wouldn't let anybody call him Jim at the time.
You had to call him Andy?
He was like, yeah. We was like, Andy, how are you? He was like, how are you, sir? And he walked by and he was totally like Andy Kaufman. And I was like, this is crazy. And so I still was broke. And while I was doing all this stuff, a friend of mine was like, hey man, look, on your day off, there's a show I'm working on. It's called Battle Dome. They have auditions down in Venice Beach, and maybe you should go. And I told my wife, I had my only day off from the security stuff. And I said, now I was trying to get behind the scenes, to be honest with you. I didn't want to be in front. I had scripts that I had written. My portfolio was in at Disney because I was an artist. Painting, drawing, the whole thing. And I was just like, I'm going to be a creator, And my wife was like, I asked her, I said, should I try this? And she was like, honey, we have nothing. So, just go for it. I went down to Venice Beach and I was in shape. And I started, they had us doing all these things, running, jumping, we were climbing up ropes. They wanted to act like, be a wrestler and the whole thing. And I was like, And everybody was like, they were like, you're pretty good. And I was like, thanks. And then I went home and I told my wife, I'll never forget the day I came back. And we had a little bitty house in Burbank. It was literally one room and what you would call a bedroom, but it was all unopened. And I remember going in that little house and I was like, honey, I did really good. Like, I feel like that was something special. Like, I don't know what's gonna happen, but I liked it.
Rule number 6, don't operate out of pride.
I was getting more and more popular, and everybody was like, Terry Crews, you're so amazing. Terry Crews, oh, there's Terry Crews, you're so great. And I kept getting this side eye from my wife, like, And I'm like, I'm looking, but I could always feel the eyes burning in the side of you know, when your wife is like, yeah, he all that, right, you know. And I said, okay, I gotta bust this bubble. The bubble needed to be burst. Like, it was, my head was all big and everything, but I had to let people know that I am not all that in this regard. I'm just like everybody else. And this is the biggest thing, especially with men. You know, we operate off pride. We go off of, hey man, I bet you won't jump off that bridge. He said, I bet you I will. Yeah. And guys, we operate that way because our pride, it's one of those things that activates us, you know? That's why when you see more than 4 guys going somewhere, it's usually somewhere stupid. You know what I mean? Something bad is about to happen. It's like, hey, watch this. No, watch this. And I was like, oh man. And the pride that we have is something that could really hurt us. Because what happens is, as you're built up in everyone's eyes, and everyone is now saying you're the man, and you're this and this and this, you don't want anything to ruin that. You start to love that. Even though in your personal life, it's messed up. Even though at home, everybody knows the real you. But you keep the picture. Because now, it's about a brand. I'm Terry Crews, the brand. I am a brand now. I am an image, and I have an image to uphold. And it's really pride. It's really, I bet you won't jump off that bridge. And what happens is, it will collapse. With that image, you become better than everyone else. You are now, you floating. You literally like, and you're better than other people. And this is where you see, I've seen stars, I've seen athletes, I've seen ministers, I've seen all kinds of different people who literally dog out people below them because I'm better than you. I really believe I am worth more than you. Terry Crews, I believed I was more valuable than my wife and kids. I did. I'm being real with you. I was like, you know, my wife would come to me, I'm like, you know what, whatever you have to say, I'm the boss. You know, like my way or the highway. The kids would have something to say, I'm like, you know what, be quiet. You know, in fact, shut up. Out. And they will walk away. And you treat everybody like that because you're better. You feel you're better. I'm worth more than you. And what happened is that you eventually fall. You eventually lose the job. You eventually lose your money. You eventually you are going to take a loss. Now, the most dangerous part about this, though, is because when you become your wins, when you're floating and high and all that, you inevitably have to become your losses. You have to be, if you live by those rules, you have to lose.
Rule number 7, halt.
You know, in therapy, there was a phrase that we used to use all the time called HALT. H-A-L-T. And that means when you are hungry, angry, lonely, or tired, you have to be really conscious of what's happening. It's called HALT. Anytime you're hungry, angry, lonely, tired, halt. Look at what you're doing. Examine it. If you're hungry, get something to eat. If you're angry, calm down. Think about where you are. Get yourself in a good mood. If you are lonely, call a friend. Call someone you know. Talk about these things. Talk about your emotion. Talk about how you're feeling. And if you are tired, get some rest, because that is when you're weakest. All of those 4 states of being is when you are at your weakest spot.
Rule number 8, be the best version of yourself.
Terry Crews, my job, my main purpose is to be the best husband, father, and friend I can be. That is my main purpose. But now I have to go deeper than that. How can I be a better friend? How can I be a better friend? Sometimes people think, oh, being a better friend means that when people want money, you give it to them. No, sometimes it means you tell people no. That's being a good friend. Sometimes it means you give some tough love. You have to go to somebody and say, hey, you know, I didn't like the way you said that to me. I don't like the way you are doing this. You're being mean to people. This is sometimes being a good friend. Being a good father is not all about going to Disneyland. Being a good father is sometimes training your kids in the way you should go. Being a good husband is really about putting your wife first and really taking responsibility for everything that role entails. Now it goes that way on your job too.
Rule number 9, don't compete with others.
Cat Williams and I, we decided, we said, you know, man, I remember, because we were both trying to make it. I just lost my home and trying to make it back. And he was homeless. So I looked at him and he looked at me, he said, hey man, we gotta make something that no one will ever forget, like ever. I said, you're right. I said, I'm going all in. He said, me too, bruh. Me too. And we made a pact. I remember we made this pact, like, because what was weird is that when you're new on a scene, especially with comedians, sometimes everybody's a little afraid of who's gonna get the joke, and it gets, that's why I learned that competition doesn't work, especially as an actor. You cannot be competing, you must be creative. It kills all creativity, 100%. If you're competing with another actor, it's a wrap. It is. You have to help your guys. You have to help everyone, the crew, the people. Stand there for the lighting. Do whatever you have to do to make sure you're a family. You know what I mean? When I look at Brooklyn Nine-Nine right now, that's one reason why we're so successful.
And rule number 10, the last one before a very special bonus clip, is love.
Love, I say this before and I'll say it again, it's impossible to love someone and control them at the same time. Most of these bad things we're talking about are attempts for people in power to control other people. And so that's where every abuse occurs, because you're trying to control what people think. I was trying to control my wife by not telling her the truth. But love gives you all the options, and then you get to pick. And if my wife loves me, like if I kept her in a cage in the basement, you know, that's control. That's not love.
Right.
But when she can come and go freely and she comes home because she wants to be with me, that's love.
Now I have a special bonus clip from Terry on how to tell your story that I think you're gonna enjoy. But before that, it's time for the 3-point landing questions. Let's go from just watching a video to taking action. Here we go. Question number 1, where are you gonna bring more love today? Number 2, what's the good habit that you want to develop this month? And number 3, what's a temptation you're gonna remove from your life this week? Now, if you like this video and you're also gonna take some action, give me a #believe down in the comments below.
When I talk about toxic masculinity, I'm talking about me. I'm not in the game to be like, well, look at you guys, and let me tell you about you and what you've been doing. Hold up, I'm talking about me. First of all, when people clown me about, oh man, oh yeah, you got molested, I would have been the guy who did that stuff. Yeah. I would have been the guy like, man, you too big to get, man, you just go to smack somebody and get out of here. I would have been that person. So I'm never, ever pointing the fingers at another man as if you need to get it together, brother. I'm not spreading shame. But I am saying we need to say we're guilty.
Wow.
We need to say what it is we did wrong. And this is the only way. The only way I can really, because right now in our society today, we have a big thing about apologies. You know, yeah, hey, I said I'm sorry. I said I'm sorry. I said I'm sorry. So now you got to forgive me, and let's keep going. The only way I can really, really kind of put this thing down is when it's like driving drunk. You hit somebody in a car. You get out of the car. Hey man, sorry.
Yeah.
And then you get back in the car and drive away. First of all, that is today's version of an apology. But what we're talking about, accountability, is totally different.
Yeah.
Accountability is you stay there with that person you hit. Accountability is the police come. You've been driving drunk. You get arrested. Accountability, you lost your license. Accountability, you're paying fines and you're paying for the person you hit, and you are paying for their recovery.
Yeah, you might be in jail for some time. You might have to.
You'll be cleaning up on the side of the freeway for about 6 months.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It doesn't matter what status you are. That's accountability. You pay the price. And accountability says that it says now we can get back to even here. Now it's about amends.
Some balance, yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's what I have dedicated my life to doing.
Yeah.
My life, it's funny because when I look at even the massage parlor that I went to, I learned later on, I joined, I became an ambassador for the Polaris Project, which deals with sex trafficking. And it talked about how many of the women that are involved in that whole thing are not free.
Yeah.
They're not free. They're basically indentured servants. And they're basically trying to pay off debts to get out from some pimp or get out from under someone who's got them. And I played that whole thing out of my head because I said, I did that. I gotta correct this. And so I became an ambassador for Polaris Project because to stop human slavery today, the fact that, at every opportunity that I can see, I'm really trying to tell my story in order to just bring light.
If you want more Terry Crews, check out the other top 10 I did on him. The link is right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
I like to call myself a motivational doer. I hate talking so much. When Hollywood stops valuing me, I'm done. Real toughness is when you can tell people